Welcome back.
Hey, buddy. How's it going? It's post Thanksgiving.
Yes. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
It was great.
Yeah?
I need to not eat for a while.
Yeah, see, the thing about this is the first Thanksgiving that I intentionally did not overeat.
Yeah, no, I didn't overeat. I just kept eating. I didn't
You
ever
had an after meal snack and then another. Because we eat really early on Thanksgiving. We ate at like 2 o'clock or maybe like 1:30.
Well, and the hard part about mine, it's like all the stuff and it's the leftovers and then the leftovers that are hanging around. And then, so when you go for go for the next meal, it's still like a more grand meal than you would normally have. Then when you go for it the third and fourth time, it's still more grand of a meal than when you have. And when you go for a snack, it's a more extravagant snack than would be normal.
We don't do that.
This goes for days.
We don't do that. We do, we have our Thanksgiving meal, and then later that night, when you get hungry again, because we eat in the early afternoon, so later that night, we'll do like little turkey sandwiches on King's Hawaiian buns. You do 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah, me too.
So it's like different. Because you're not having mashed potatoes.
But then you're like, green beans. I could have Brussels a little stuffing with it.
Oh yeah, you're that kind of person. Huh?
No, I'm the kind of person who I make these pies, these sugar cream pies. Mm-hmm. And what's great about them is you can make all sorts of them in advance. I made 6 last week, and then I freeze them.
Oh, okay.
And they freeze perfectly, and it's a custard pie, and it's best served cold. Like
revenge.
Like just thawed out.
You should call them revenge pies.
Revenge pie. No,
because it's a dish best served cold.
It is. And anyway, you can slice off little slivers of it, right? Like you could have a slice of pie that's literally at like the widest part of the sliver.
Sure.
Could be like half an inch, and you can just pick it up.
Because you can't do that with like an apple pie.
No, you can't do it. No,
because you gotta like the crust sometimes gets away, especially a lattice crust.
Yeah.
You gotta cut it right.
Exactly.
So you gotta have a big piece.
This is a custard pie, and you could have the tiniest of slivers, or you could have 10 tiny slivers.
Yeah.
Right.
When are you gonna make me a pie?
I have one in the freezer for you.
Can't wait. Truth be told, I was gonna make some deviled eggs and bring them, but I didn't have old enough eggs.
You don't need old eggs. You just have to pierce them properly. Go back to episode number. I'm kidding. All right.
So here's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk today? I want to talk about gratitude.
That's a stretch coming off Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's a really weird topic to talk about. But I'm going to talk about gratitude. Because I think sometimes with Thanksgiving, we think of the big meal and time with our family and all that kind of stuff, but we don't take a moment to really think about what Thanksgiving really means from a historical context, right? That's really about giving thanks, right? And so one of the traditions we have in our house is when we get all the food and we start eating, we go around the table and we talk about for the past year something that we're really grateful for that has either happened or maybe we're just grateful in the moment for something, like it can be anything, but just sharing that that gratitude, that experience, right? And a lot of them, end up being, I'm just so thankful for all of us around the table. I'm thankful for family. I'm thankful for that, which is just fine. But I really like that concept, and I'm kind of interested in a way of doing that throughout the year and not just on Thanksgiving and moving on. I've talked about gratitude and that's it. Because I really think having a perspective of gratitude can change your perspective in life.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think contentment, gratitude can cause contentment, and ingratitude can likewise lead to discontentment.
You like to use the word content instead of happiness, but I think for a lot of people those words are interchangeable, but they're not.
Different.
I know in your perspective, which
what
I
do you
agree.
Mean in my perspective?
I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I think sometimes we talk about happiness and we really are talking about being content, right? So just in case people are, because I think the perspective of being content is that you're just like, yeah, I'm sitting here, I'm content.
I did
I'm
not
pretty
say
content.
complacent. See,
Right,
you're
I know,
mixing up my C
No,
words.
what I'm saying is, I think people think that when
They
they
think complacent when I say content.
exactly. So I'm just trying to clarify a little bit.
What do you think when I say discontent?
Discontent means you're not content. It's the opposite of content.
So if you think content is complacent, what would be discomplacent?
The vast majority of people, when you talk about I'm content, means you're fine, you're status quo, right? Discontent means you're gruff and rough and you're upset about something. I think that's what a lot of people. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's why we're laymen. We can be wrong.
I would like to change people's perspective to see contentment as happiness, as joy, as something lasting. Maybe
Right.
where I say happiness maybe is fleeting.
Fleeting, right? I'm happy right now, but I could not be. Contentment is more of a long-term,
sustainable
emotion.
So good.
So,
so we still arguing about this?
No, we're not.
Okay.
I'm just trying to clarify for some people, trying to help out our thousands of listeners.
Well,
so, I'd like to share a moment with you that I think I've shared before, but what I try to do is sometimes it's the small moments in life that really. Oh, you know what? I got a better one than one I've already shared. Sometimes it's the small moments in life that you're just thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
So the other day, we got all our Christmas trees up and everything, right? And they're not on timers. You gotta, the big tree's got a clicker, and then we got another tree that doesn't have a clicker. You have to plug it in. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm downstairs in my office, and I've got like an iPad set up with a security camera in the living room, so I can see when Parker gets up and all that kind of stuff. So I got it running, and I see Parker get up, and he comes out of his room, and he kind of looks in the bedroom to see if I'm awake or not. Sees that I'm not there. Looks downstairs, see the lights on. Well, then he stops from going downstairs and turns around and looks at the Christmas tree and then goes over there and clicks it on, right? Like he's like, this is off. This needs to be on, right? Which is just a great feeling to have, right? That you can tell he enjoys it to be on, right? Well, then he goes over to the other Christmas tree and he's looking for its clicker, and he doesn't find it. No button, no clicker. So he finds the power cord, okay? And then he's like, oh, I know it needs to go into, I have like a power strip, but it's like a really big one because the TV's attached to it. It's kind of up against the wall. So he's like trying to figure out how to plug it in because you got to move it to plug it. Well, anyway, so he's like holding this thing and he's like, he's looking for a power outlet to plug it into. Okay. And he starts looking everywhere. I mean, the ceiling, right? He's like looking up at the ceiling. He's like looking at the walls. He goes into the kitchen. He's like looking at the china cabinet. He's like looking at the table, And I'm just like, I'm laughing, right? And I just found it the most amazing experience that had I been there, it wouldn't have happened that way. Right? Like, had I been in the room, I would have been like, oh, Parker, let me help you plug it in or whatever, right? Or, hey, there's the outlet right there. But what an amazing, experience to be kind of a fly on the wall and kind of see this. And it made me thankful that, one, he exists in my life, right? Like, that moment can give me such great joy for, it's been like 3 days now, right? And I'm still giggling over it. And I just like, sometimes it's those little things that just make you so grateful in your life.
Yeah. I was thinking about too, I read this great article with gratitude about starting with the smallest. If you change your perspective to all the little bitty things that you can be grateful for, and you lead in with that and all your it sets your tone. So yesterday was big. We had a big snow day,
Lots of
right?
snow.
It was.
I didn't expect it to
It
stick, but it
was an
did.
early snow day. It was great. Yeah. So I had you can choose. You have to make the decision and the choice, and I think often we're a negative society because we like to complain and then we like to one up complain, and then it's more fun to complain,
Yeah.
and then other people get to complain. We like complaining with each other.
Yeah.
So like, if I was like, "Oh, how was your morning?" I could have been like, "Oh my gosh, the truck was completely covered in ice. I had to chip it off the windshield. The little sprayer thing that like
Ugh.
sprays the windshield was frozen over, so I had like blue ice on the front of the truck, and I had, and the door was frozen shut. And, but I like that's like compelling to like vent and tell this
Sure.
big
Yeah.
story about.
Yeah.
But this article was saying if you change it and say, man, I had a vehicle that was able to get me to where I needed to go, and it started. It turned over first crank,
And eventually warmed up.
and it warmed up, and oh my gosh, this vehicle, it has seat warmers, so the seats got warm. It was amazing, And then I was able to drive, and I had good enough tires, so I didn't slip on the icy roads. I made it to where I was going without incident. I got here that morning, and we had plenty of coffee to put in the coffee pot to make, to produce the coffee. And like that's just boring to people.
Yeah.
People are like,
It is boring.
lame.
I was kind of falling asleep when you were
I
talking to
know,
me about it.
but that reprograms your. Isn't that funny that's so
Yeah.
boring? But if I told you if I
Crazy,
let
outlandish
into how
story.
horrible
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
was, and I paint it in that context, you're like keyed in. You're like, oh man, it's like watching a train wreck.
I do agree. I do agree with you,
fascinating.
but I also think that it's harder. So really, what you're talking about is being grateful for little things, right? Which is what I'm talking.
We're saying the same
right.
thing.
I think it is compelling if something big happened and you share that as a gratitude piece, right? So, my car wouldn't start a few weeks ago. I'm sitting in the middle school line, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Call my buddy Mitch up. Shows up, gives me a jump. Working great. Very grateful, right? It's like a big story, right? So, when I go home and tell Shauna, hey, blah, 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 like super grateful for my buddy Mitch, people get on board with that. They can relate to that. But it is the smaller things that are hard to, relate with. Like I'm super happy this morning that some of my favorite socks got washed yesterday by my wife. My Monday shirt under my Monday sweatshirt got washed by my wife. That's great to go in there and be like, man, all my clothes are clean. But yeah, I don't think most people would get that. Clean clothes.
Well, hey. And then sometimes you change your perspective on stuff. My dishwasher broke over this Thanksgiving holiday.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Fully loaded with 5,000 pounds of china, 450 articles of silverware, all in there. And then no dishwashing.
No.
Right?
It's a hand wash.
Yeah. I'm telling my buddy about it. And I was like, man, dishwasher broke. On thanks. And I'm not going to be able to get the replacement, to replace it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what he told me? He said his dishwasher broke too.
Years ago?
15 years ago.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
And he decided it was better
to hand wash stuff.
to hand wash. And they're grateful they do it. Him and his wife, they do it together.
Yeah.
And it's part of they just hand wash.
Yeah, we used to Sean and I used to wash. We used to have the rule of I cook, you clean, right? When we were single or
That's not
dating
fun
or
at all.
whatever. No, it's not fun. And then we started doing it together, which was really great. And then the kids got older, and it was like, okay, well, we need chores for kids to do. So it's like, okay, you do the dishes. But every now and then, so we did the dishes on Thanksgiving. We loaded up the dishwasher with what we could, but we didn't want a bunch of dishes laying around. So Sean and I did all the hand wash stuff and stuff together. I like rinsed it, scrubbed it, and then she dried it and put it away.
I like being the primary dishwasher, the primary dish handler.
The scrubber?
No, just the
Not the
primary
dryer?
handler. So if you just took all the time that any of the breakable dishware was actually manually handled and manipulated by a single person, my bar graph would be higher than everybody else's.
Yes, I concur
right?
with that.
And I like it that way because
If I break something, it's my fault.
Because the number of broken dishes, I also lead
Yes.
that. But
Yes.
I can say it's a ratio because statistics
So you
would
can
s-
excuse yourself.
Statistics would say I am the most probable to break it
Yeah.
because I've done the most handling.
I would just be
I
would rather be more upset with myself.
I'm the most probable person to wreck my truck.
Yeah.
See, because I
Accurate.
drive it more than anyone else.
Accurate.
So statistically speaking,
Yeah.
I'm the most probable person to tear the seam in my jeans. You know,
I hope so.
After Thanksgiving.
Shauna has this candy dish that her grandma had, and it's like if it broke, it would be like the end of the world, right? So yeah, like when I have to move it for whatever reason, it's like, hey Shauna, can you move this, or whatever, or like I'm like kid,
Yeah.
like baby hands
Yeah.
holding a baby right there, supporting the head, kids get out of the kitchen, So anyway, so for you, this idea of gratitude and being grateful for even the small things, and not just the big things that are I would say easier to be grateful in life for. What really importance has that played in your faith journey?
Oh man, I think in your faith, I think in the faith journey with gratitude, once you kind of start to realize and recognize how much has been done for you and put in place for you, you can't help but be in awe of how much you're loved. So once you start to grasp in your faith journey, the Jesus' sacrificial love for us who we aren't worthy at all. And when you start to kind of even just attempting to grasp that, right? Like intellectually, like trying to wrap your mind around it, I think it just forces you into a stance of gratitude.
Yeah.
Because anybody, I think, can doing a self-appraisal of your own worthiness for someone to die on a cross for you, right? Like, you can't just tell that and somebody be like, yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. I deserve it. Of course, I earned that, right?
earned that.
Yeah, you crawl up there for me because I'm so good, right? Like
I'm better.
That is insane. So I think if you dial it back to that baseline, I think it's almost a basis for being able to accept Christ's sacrifice for you has to begin with you being grateful for it. Because if you're not, then you haven't accepted it. You don't recognize what's been done.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost the genesis of a faith journey.
Yeah.
Your turn.
We talk a lot about what God and what Jesus really wants is the opposite of what the world wants from you. Right? Like the world tells you that your life's about you, right? You deserve a great vacation. You deserve
You
this
keep
new
telling
car.
me this.
I It's a commercial. Like you deserve the new iPhone. Get
Oh,
it
the
out there right
titanium
now.
one.
It's titanium. It
It's
came from space.
It's titanium.
Um,
Does that make it? Is there any iron in titanium? Is titanium
dude,
magnet?
I'm
Is
not
it is
sure.
it magnetic or not? Like,
Is that ferrous? Right?
yeah,
Ferrous metal.
yeah.
I don't think titanium is a ferrous metal. I don't know, man. It's been so long since
I just know
chemistry.
I have a stainless steel refrigerator and a magnet sticks to it, and I was like, what's up with that?
Because it's not. Anyway.
Anyway,
Um, so for me, I think that it's too. There's one critical event that I would say happened in my life that really jump started a lot of my faith journey.
pivotal circumstance we call that.
Yeah, and I think it's when I graduated college, right? I didn't have a lot of stuff, and I had a lot of debt from college. Not a crazy amount, but um, and so when I went to work and I was working and I got promoted and then I got promoted and then I got promoted and then I got promoted and I was doing well and I was
Wow.
earning money and paying paid the student loans off and didn't have debt. It was like really kind of doing stuff. I had this perspective where this is all mine, right? I've got this house, I've got this nice kitchen table, I've got these nice plates, I've got this nice TV, I've got this nice computer because of all the hard work that I put into it, right? I started with nothing and now look at all this great stuff I have, right? I'm not like a millionaire or anything, but like it was easy for me to say that it was mine, right? And a few years back, and I think it really started to change around, having kids and your mind kind of changes from, man, it's really great having this phone to your perspective is, are my kids safe? Are my kids comfortable? Are my kids learning something? Like you're really less focused on yourself and you're focused on someone else. And it took me a while to pivot the thought process of, the things that I have in life are because God gave them to me, my wife, children. Like the things that I really cherish isn't this thing anymore, right? It's not the house, it's not the TV or whatever. I cherish the time that I spend with family. I cherish the summers and sprinklers and, like kids playing and having fun and swimming in a pool. And, I think that once your mind shifts away from, I've earned all this stuff to, man, I was given this, right? And I need to use it the best way that I can. Um, I think that really changes your faith journey and then adds gratitude into it because when you're not looking at something of this I earned and said this I was given, you're more grateful for that, right? Which is opposite of what the world teaches you because the world teaches you with kids, they'll tell you all the time, if you give them that Nintendo Switch, they don't treat it as well as if they had to go and mow 50 yards to earn the money to buy it themselves, right? Then they look at their work and they say, "Oh, my work paid for this. I'm going to take care of it more." Right? That's what the world would tell us, right? But it's completely opposite. Where if we were in a grateful mindset to begin with and you gave somebody something, they would cherish it because it was given to them as a gift. They did nothing to earn it. See what I mean?
Oh yeah.
See how weird that perspective, that shift is?
So
It's amazing to me.
and I think to continue the gift language, right? If we start looking at everything as a gift, because I think people can really, I think everybody, worldly or no matter what your faith background or perspective or absence thereof, can has probably received a gift that they cherished, right? So if you take the perspective that everything is a gift, my son would say today's a gift. That's why we call it the present.
Oh,
And
I like
I'm
that.
like, I don't know where you got that. That's like off some,
It's like some
Yeah.
a motivational daily calendar,
yeah,
right?
like he said that, and I was like, was that on Anchorman? Like, where'd you get that? But I think that's an interesting paradigm shift to look at everything as a gift instead of a, and you don't even have to, identify the giver, right? Like
Yeah.
even take a step back and just, if you don't even have to identify the giver to express the gratitude, the internal gratitude for receiving that,
Yeah.
for knowing that you didn't create it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find this whole shift, and then granted, then it turns into um giving. You become more giving, I think, when you're when that when you feel like you've been given it to I don't want to say manage, but you've been given this stuff to use it wisely. I think you become more generous with what you do, right? And I was always pretty generous with my time over the years. I would help with this, or I would do this or whatever, um, until this like kind of post college period where I don't really remember doing much giving in that time, where I was like, I've earned this. I'm working hard. I'm getting promoted. I mean, I can't even remember a time that I like did anything, or I volunteered for something, or whatever. I was so focused on me and me earning the things, right? Um, and so yeah, like this whole shift, and learning how to um, give appropriately too is hard sometimes, I think. And so, just as an aside, I think when you're a little more free with your gratitude, it comes with challenges too,
Oh
right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, everything becomes like, oh man, I need help with that. I need help with that. I need help with that. And then you've signed up to do 12 things on Wednesday night, right? So yeah, you have to, becoming more grateful also can cause issues just with your time management and stuff like that.
And I think with some of that stuff too, if you find yourself, um, you find yourself becoming discontent with your overextended,
Yeah.
you've overextended yourself. Well, that's a good key too to focus, um, to refocus what you're committing to, um, and one of the great takeaway from a message years ago was increase your commitment and decrease your expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, so I think that's probably the biggest importance in my faith journey. And a lot of it is if I look at the key moments, it's always been around something small that's happened that's really changed my perspective. Nobody's given me $50,000, and now all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I'm a more grateful person, right? But it's always those little small things of, and I really love, just to kind of put a bow on it. We've got one of those um, Echo, Amazon Alexa Echo Show things in our kitchen,
Okay.
right? And we got rotating pictures on it or whatever. Well, you always love the pictures that remind you of that time, right? Like, so I've got this picture that cracks me up every time, um, of Piper, my middle kiddo, who like loves pasta, And so I don't know what happened. I don't really remember the instance other than the circumstance, but she was just like what we call caveman, and just using her fingers, just grabbed this chunk of pasta and was shoving it in her mouth, right? Um, and like it's those moments that make you grateful. So yeah, I love having those pictures on because it's like you can just be having a bad day and furiously cleaning dishes because you're upset about something like I do, and then you see some of those
You're angry
pictures.
cleaning?
Oh, yeah, we talked about this on
Yeah,
the
I know.
podcast.
That's why I was pointing out, oh, you've recently been angry cleaning.
No, not. Yeah, actually, there was once, very recent. But then you see those things and you're like, it just changes you, you know. And the same thing goes. I don't know, we're running out of time. The same thing goes for we put we decorated one of the trees in the backyard because we don't see the front. We
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
see
yeah,
our
yeah.
front. So I decorated one of the trees in the backyard. We got a little Yeti inflatable out there, a little Santa inflatable, and it just cracks me up every time I see it. But that way, like you're walking in the house, at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're like, why am I up this early? I can't go back to sleep. Angry, 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 angry. And then you look out there and you're like, oh man, little Yeti guy, right? Like having that joy, that feeling, or whatever, constantly around you, I think is critical.
I might do that too. I might decorate a tree in my backyard.
Yeah, I mean, all of our windows are in the back, right? So yeah, man, decorate a tree,
All
decorate
right.
away.
Hey, everybody go decorate a tree in your backyard or
Be-
something.
it's
Looks like
something.
put something out there.
Yeah, do something. Do something to remind you every day of things that you can be grateful for. That's it.
All right. I love it, man.
All right.
You guys have a good week.
Yeah. See you next week.
Yeah.